I don't think I've ever seen a position like this before. A position reached by very strong players. We're talking about the world elite here. This is the candidates tournament, the tournament that will determine the next challenger or world champion. In this extremely strong tournament, we're quickly going to see a completely improbable position. All right, let me show it to you. Fabiano Caruana has white and starts with knight f3. His opponent, Wei, replies with knight to f6. We're in the third round of this candidates tournament. And for now, Fabiano Caruana has one win and one draw, whereas Wei has had two draws in a row. At the end of this game, I'll show you the provisional standings. But let's get back to the game. Here, Fabiano Caruana is now going to play c4. And you can already see that the play by white in this opening is what we call modern chess. Modern chess is actually a rather old school of thought. In fact, it dates back to the early 20th century, and it involves playing development moves on the wings to control the center from a distance with flank moves. And that's exactly what white are doing. They play knight to f3 to control two central squares, and they involve the pawn from the wing, the pawn to c4, in controlling the central square d5. Classical chess, on the other hand, is more about occupying the center immediately with the central pawns. But here, you'll see that the pawns on d2 and e2 won't move. Careful, they won't move at all during the game. That's what's incredible. Black will play c5. They are also part of this hyper-modern school of thought. They use their wing pawn to control the central square d4, and we continue with g3 and g6. Both players want to fianchetto their bishops, that is, place them on the longest diagonals of the chessboard. Knight c3 is played, and for the first time, one of the two players will touch a central pawn. Wei plays d5, placing his pawn in the center. There is an exchange, then pawn takes d5, knight recaptures, bishop to g2, bishop to g7. And now, the first major moment of reflection for Fabiano Caruana. You have to understand that these are long games. Both players have more than 2 hours to play this game, more than 2 hours each. But here, Fabiano Caruana is going to take 22 minutes to play his move. He is going to play the move, queen a4 check. Now, this check in itself isn't that dangerous. Black can play knight c6, for example, to develop. That's what they played. And now Caruana is going to start hostilities. He's going to play knight g5. He frees the bishop g2 to attack the knight on d5. So this knight is attacked twice. So what to do? Here, Wei will respond very quickly with the move knight b6. The counterattack on the white queen. But let me just go back a moment. You should know that this position has already been played by two very strong players. For those who know MVL, Maxime Vachier-Lagrave with white against Wes with black. And in this position, Wes had rather played the pawn to e6, freeing the queen which attacks the knight, by the way. Maxime had replied with knight e4 to attack the pawn on c5, and now knight b6, which counterattacks the queen. So this position had already been reached at a very high level, except here Wei is not going to play e6, and he is going to play very quickly. Knight b6. By the way, in this opening, he is going to play much faster than Fabiano Caruana. Fabiano Caruana, let me remind you, he still took 22 minutes to play queen to 4 check. And here, he's going to take another 8 minutes to decide to play bishop, capturing the knight with check. Yet it seems interesting because you're going to win some pawns. Look, bishop takes on c6 with check, pawn captures. Queen takes on c6 with check, so bishop goes to d7 so that the queen defends the rook. And queen takes on c5. So in the end, Fabiano Caruana wins 2 pawns in this opening. But it comes at a price. And the price is that white no longer have their light-squared bishop, even though the white king has a much better chance of finding shelter by kingside castling. And black still have their light-squared bishop. This could be very dangerous for the safety of the king. Especially since in this position, black are trying to play bishop to h3 to prevent the king from passing through square f1 to reach kingside castling and find shelter. But as you can see, the knight on g5 is currently defending square h3. That's why black play h6. They push back the knight. The knight moves to f3. Rook c8 attacks the queen. Black also take advantage of the opening of the lines to gain development tempo by attacking the queen. Yes, that's true, white are no longer stinking up the place. But black have a lot of development. Apart from the fact that black haven't castled yet, they've mobilized most of their pieces. The queen moves to a5 and bishop to h3. And you see the bishop on h3 controls the square f1, so the king can't do kingside castling. He can't go find shelter. And the rook on h1 may have trouble getting into the game. So here, Fabiano is going to play queen b5 check, Black don't want to play. Queen d7, they don't want to exchange queens being 2 pawns down. They also don't want to castle their king, so they're going to play knight to d7. White now play rook g1. And yes, the white king can't do the castling. So it's necessary to find a way to complete the development on the king side. And it's true that this move, rook g1, aims to push g4. Deprive the bishop of retreat squares, and even play rook g3 afterwards to win this bishop. So white, who already have 2 extra pawns, will try to trap the black bishop. And black to kingside castling. Fabiano Caruana therefore plays g4. And for the first time in the game, Wei Yi is going to think. Up until now, he has been playing all his moves very quickly. But here, he is going to take 30 minutes to play a move that is not the best move for black. He is going to play rook c5. He attacks the white queen. And if we want to understand the best move for black, it would rather be to play knight to f6 to attack the g4 pawn twice. But certainly Wei Yi was bothered by the move knight e5, which allowed the defense of g4. But black still had good continuations. Again, queen to d6, which threatens the arrival of the rook on c5, for example. So white can still continue. The computer shows queen to d3. It proposes the exchange of the queens, and after queen takes knight, it allows white to get revenge on the bishop on h3. But black can play rook to d8, and you can see that in this position, white do have 2 extra pawns. But all of black's forces are mobilized, and the white king will still struggle to find shelter. And the computer judges this position as unclear. It's not obvious who has the advantage, but here Wei Yi does not play. Knight to f6. He is going to play rook to c5, certainly wanting to push back the queen and then follow up with the move knight to e5. So they play rook to c5. Fabiano Caruana finds the most precise retreat for the queen, which is the retreat to b3. And this is where the drama will unfold. The drama for Wei Yi. Because Wei Yi does not notice a direct alignment. I often tell you in my videos, in the educational games, that you have to look at the influence of a piece. Not just at the first obstacle, but all the way to the end of the board. And the queen here, it creates direct alignments. You have to spot the queen-king alignment, of course, with the pawn on f7, which acts as an obstacle, but you have to spot it. The alignment with the bishop, even though both knights are in the way. Because the pieces that are blocking can very well, in certain combinations, be forced to move and directly unleash attacks, revealing those attacks. And unfortunately, that's exactly what is going to happen to Wei Yi. Wei Yi continues with knight to e5. If the move rook to c5 earlier was an imprecise move, the move knight to e5 is now a completely losing move. I'll show you afterwards what black should have played. So Fabiano Caruana is going to take advantage of this move knight to e5 to exchange and start to open up the alignment between queen and bishop. He plays knight takes. Black can't recapture with the bishop, otherwise knight e4. We attack the rook, and the bishop is also attacked, and black will lose a piece. That's why Wei Yi replies with rook takes. But the move that ends the game, the move that will force the resignation, can you find it? White plays and wins. What would you play? You can pause the video. So, what did you think of? The winning move for white is the completely unexpected move, knight d1. Why do I say it's an improbable move? But look at the final position. The only piece developed for white is the queen, and the winning move is a retreating move. The knight underdevelops itself, coming back to the very square of the queen, in fact. But the queen attacks the bishop, which is trapped. Black lose a piece. Look at this position where the central pawns d2 and e2 have never moved during the game. The only advanced pawn is the g pawn. Admit it, it's pretty funny. The only developed piece is the queen. That's not what we teach beginners. Beginners are usually taught to occupy the center. Here the central pawns haven't moved. They're taught to develop their pieces. Here, not a single white piece is developed. They're taught to secure the king by castling. Here, white absolutely cannot castle. But they win. Black resign. So we see the standings in this tournament. In the candidates, thanks to his 2 victories, Fabiano Caruana shares first place with Sindarov, who also has 2 wins and a draw. So they have 2.5 points out of 3. They are followed by Pragnananda and Bluebomb with 1.5 points, which is average. Nakamura, Wei Yi, Giri, and Esipenko are currently sharing last place with 1 point. By the way, who is your favorite in this candidates tournament? You can also leave your opinions in the comments. I read everything. I look at everything. And by the way, in your comments, you pointed out to me during the previous video that I hadn't shown the standings for the candidates tournament. So let's take a look at the candidates tournament now. We can see that first place is held by Bibisara Asubeva with 2 points. Anna Muzichuk and Vaishali are sharing second place with 1.5 points. And then several others have 1 point. But be careful because Alexandra Goryachkina hasn't finished her game yet. And she's in the process of winning. So probably she will reach 2 points and thus join Asubeva Bilisar in first place. Well, there you have it. We'll meet again for the rest of this candidates tournament, which lasts 2 weeks. And in about 10 days from now, we'll know who the challenger to Gukesh will be for the next World Championship title. Place your bets, make your predictions. I can't wait to read your comments. You can leave me likes, comments, share the video, and support the channel. Goodbye, everyone.